Not a red rose or a satin heart. I give you an onion. It is a moon wrapped in brown paper. It promises light like the careful undressing of love. Here, it will blind you with tears like a lover. It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. I'm trying to be truthful. Not a cute card or a kissogram. I give you an onion. Its fierce kiss will stay on your lips, possessive and faithful as we are, for as long as we are. Take it. Its platinum loops shrink to a wedding ring, if you like. Lethal. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife. Not a red rose or a satin heart. That's the first line, and it's a one-line stanza. You can see it's not part of stanza 2. So the first thing we see is that the syntax and word choice, the syntax is the position of not, emphasizes that this is an emphatic rejection, a really strong rejection of conventional symbols of love, which are the red rose or a satin heart. And these are up here. These are the conventional, cliche symbols of romance. Cheesy, for want of a better word. Okay? So those are the first 2 annotations that you want to have. Second stanza opens with a stark, blunt statement. I give you an onion. So there's the word choice and the sentence structure here. In the word choice, the speaker is addressing their lover directly because they say you. And this is powerful and perhaps uncomfortable for the reader. We've been forced into this intimacy with this speaker of the poem. And this sentence also introduces the conceit for love, which is the onion. Okay. It is a moon wrapped in brown paper. So that is a metaphor here. And oh, look at that. I've written simile. That's terrible. Let me just change that right away. Metaphor. Okay. So just as a moon is glowing, silvery and beautiful, so too is the onion, which shares the moon's shape. It's a sphere. It's like those baubles on the Christmas tree. The moon also has connotations of love and romance, but also of being changeable or associated with madness. The word lunatic comes from the Latin word luna, meaning moon. So the initial meaning of lunatic, when they talked about people being lunatics, was that their moods were changeable, like the moon, like the phases of the moon. So in there, yes, the moon is beautiful, it's glowing, it's romantic, but it could also be a sign of someone being not reliable or a wee bit mad, and that associates here. So you really see how this conceit of the onion works quite powerfully. Now, the other thing we have in this metaphor is the fact that it's a moon wrapped in brown paper. Well, brown paper is quite a humble, mundane exterior. There's nothing flashy about it, and that contradicts the flashy or luxurious symbols of love. So there's something humble and honest about this gift of the onion. It promises light, like the careful undressing of love. That's a beautiful simile here. So the careful suggests tenderness and gentleness, and the undressing of love suggests intimacy and revelation. That's like revealing within a relationship, while promise suggests optimism anticipation, good things to come in the future. So even though this symbol, this gift is unusual, it is positive and something hopeful. Just one more thing I want to add. It promises light, going back to that here. Well, light suggests bright warmth and hope. So we have here, which is that blunt command, which creates a forceful and authoritative tone. So we're getting more information about the personality of the speaker. And then you have this simile. It will blind you with tears like a lover. So the metaphor of being blind suggests an inability to see or think clearly due to upset and pain. So there's the emotional blindness as well as physical blindness. The tears suggests upset, pain and sorrow. And like a lover makes clear that it is love that causes this distress. So love here is the source of distress. That's the first two annotations for you. It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. So that is a metaphor here. So there's a lot to unpack here. The metaphor suggests that love will cause such distress that it will cause a sort of instability, if you think of wobbling, distortions in your perceptions of reality and your perceptions of yourself, the way you see yourself. And grief suggests loss and heartbreak and the death of something dear. Perhaps grief at the loss of a relationship or grief at the loss of a sort of sense of self because you yourself might be broken. Remember, this all goes back to the onion. Chopping up the onion causes these tears and this physical distress, but also love, and above all, love. And then stanza 4 is just a one-line stanza. You've got this statement here. I'm trying to be truthful. It's quite blunt. It's stark. The speaker will not shy away from what is a hard fact to accept. So we can imagine that the person they're talking to is like, well, what do you mean? Why are you saying these terrible things about what love is going to do to me? And they're just saying, look, I'm trying to be truthful. I'm just being honest, okay? Honest and frank. Not a cute card or a kissogram. I give you an onion. Its fierce kiss will stay on your lips, possessive and faithful as we are, for as long as we are. So that word choice of not and the syntax, which means the order of the word, so the position of the word right at the start of the statement, is a repetition of that idea of rejecting the conventional, superficial and meaningless symbols of love. Okay? And that relates to the word choice of cute card and kissogram. These are superficial, empty, commercial tokens of love. There's no real depth or sincerity to them. So then we have the short statement, I give you an onion. So this short statement is a repetition also of that conceit of the onion, emphasizing that the speaker is offering a complex, honest form of love. It's brutal, yet it is sincere. Line 3, its fierce kiss will stay on your lips. Well, fierce, that word choice, has connotations of passionate, yet also aggressive and frightening. We would say that wild animals are fierce, or that an opponent is fierce. And stay on your lips There's that idea of remaining a lasting imprint or mark. And if you eat an onion, the taste of it endures and is long lasting because it's really strong. And the same thing with love. This experience is going to change you for the better or for the worse. Now, the last 3 lines of this stanza are packed with a lot of interest. So we have possessive and faithful as we are, for as long as we are. Well, possessive and faithful, that's an oxymoronic statement. It contradicts itself because possessive suggests a kind of obsession, a madness, a bit of claustrophobia, almost a sort of stalker type behaviour, whereas faithful suggests a sort of benevolent loyalty, non-threatening behaviour. But you have both of these things with love. Then you have as we are and for as long as we are. Well, as we are is like saying, well, for the time being at least, the way things are, there's no promise there of future development or progression. There's no sort of, we're going to reach this certain point of stability. There's no real promise or security there. And then for as long as we are, that suggests again the speaker is not promising eternal love, just a temporary relationship. We'll see how things go. Again, that could just be another example of brutal honesty. But that also contradicts the commercial or traditional views of love that we are given. So take it. Well, that is, of course, a command. Again, it's that blunt, forceful tone. It's an imposition. Okay, there's quite a forceful nature to this speaker. Its platinum loops shrink to a wedding ring, if you like. Well, that metaphor, it's platinum loops. So platinum refers to wedding ring material, but also the silvery onion loops. Shrink suggests constriction or strangulation. If something was looped around you and it was tightening, it would slowly suffocate and kill you. And wedding ring associates this entrapment, the idea of constriction, with marriage or a sort of permanent promise. And then you've got if you like. There's that tone again. It's like quite flippant. It's changeable. This is not a reliable person. They're not promising you anything. Okay, let's look at the final lines of the poem. You have lethal, that short statement, it's just one word long, that creates a stark tone, and it suggests fatal, mortal, causing death. That's quite strong, quite a strong thing to say about love. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife. Well, scent, that word choice suggests a lingering, pungent odour, like the onion. So it's something that you can't get rid of. There's this idea that this is going to change you and it's going to have lasting effects. Then you've got the word choice and repetition of cling. Now, that emphasises an obsessive clutching onto something or someone. It's an uncomfortable attachment, okay? If someone is holding your hand, that could be nice and affectionate. If they're clinging onto you, there's a tone of like despair or possession, desperation. And again, that's quite a challenging, perhaps off-putting idea. And then you've got the word choice and syntax. Knife. It's positioned as the last word of the poem, so it's the last thing we have in our heads. So it closes the poem on a disturbing note, because knife obviously has connotations of violence, of fatal injury, of danger, perhaps of terrible fights, of abuse. So the poem ends on a highly disturbing note.